After a month into our minor league baseball season, let's use Fangraphs to determine what prospects you need to invest in right now. What's up, y'all? My name is Zach. I have a eBay account. I'm a top-rated seller. I invest in early MLB prospects, try to flip cards. Doesn't matter if it's Star Wars, basketball, baseball, Pokemon, doesn't matter, but I really love investing in minor league baseball prospects and using Fangraphs and analytics to determine who we should be investing in, who's flying under the radar, who's overvalued, etc. So I'm going to be giving out some breakdowns on how we find these prospects, but not only that, this YouTube channel is going to be a lot of different things regarding the hobby of sports cards and how we flip cards, how we ship cards, how to become a top-rated seller, etc. So if you do want more of these types of videos and more information, hit that like button, subscribe. At least that's what I've seen people say on their channel. But we're going to do a quick little breakdown on after about a month into the season. I know minor league baseball started a little bit after the majors. We're going to be looking at our top prospects, who's really crushing it in the minor leagues, and who needs to be on our radar right now. So I'm going to share my screen and we could take a look at who is on our radar right now. So first thing, I'm going to show you kind of what Fangraphs is. So Fangraphs is a super cool website. They don't pay me or nothing like that. I've used them for a little bit, and they have great ways to really track all stats, like any stat you can think of, whether it's WAR, whether it's exit velo, like whatever it is, OPS plus, FWAR. Like I'm getting into analytics of baseball here, but you really want to stay, if you're looking for prospects, you want to go to this prospects tab on Fangraphs. You will need an account for some of what I'm going to show you, and you want to click on the board. So the board will show all prospects. FV stands for future value. So this is on the 2080 scale. So it will grade prospects. There's a bunch of different things you can do here, but just for today, we're going to use the MLB leaderboard. So this will show stats for every single player in minor league baseball, like literally everybody, all the way down to the complex league, the Dominican league, the Dominican Summer League, the DSL, like all of that. So some of those leagues haven't happened yet, but this is basically going to be AAA all the way down to low A right now. So you can tell there's 884 different players that they have ranked, and then you can split it by anything. You can look at 2023. You can do custom reports. So to do these custom reports, you will need an account. So I have a custom report right now. You can see like I was scouting to see like 2023 Bowman first, like what players I should invest in. But we're just gonna go hitters for minor leagues right now. And then I have custom categories set here. So I want to see how many games they've played, how many plate appearances, home runs, stolen base, caught stealing, their average OBP, slugging, OPS, their ISO, their base on ball percentage, their strikeout percentage, their weighted on base average, and then WRC plus. So that's telling me, right, the average scale 100 is a normal hitter in their division or in their league right now, and it will tell me how good the player's doing. And then batting average for balls in play. So Fangraphs has its own section on what is a good number for all of these. So it makes it super, super easy to tell, like, okay, this player is playing way above, the average number here or way below. I like the batting average for balls in play stat because the average is around 300. So it basically tells you how lucky or unlucky the player is getting. That's kind of like the easiest way to look at it. You can go even farther than that and look at their average across like multiple years if they have a bigger sample size and say, okay, they typically are hitting like 315 on balls in play. If they're hitting like 220 right now, they're really unlucky. Or if they're hitting 450, those numbers are a little inflated. So this is a really cool way to analyze prospects. I really like it. And then you can sort it by anything. But one thing we're going to be using is just exporting the data. So I'm going to show you how we export the data, and then we will get into like who's doing really good and so on. So once we've exported our data, I'll show you guys what it looks like on the other side. Okay, so once we've exported our data, it should look something like this. So we can see everyone's name, age, team, their current level, games played, all of this stuff. We can go all the way down. Like there's a ton of prospects, right? 885 prospects. So don't look through all of them. Like I'm going to show you a way to make it way simpler. First thing we're going to do, we're going to take out player ID. Like we don't really need that. And then these stats right here, we can make this a little easier to sort through. Like you can do this, of course, any way you want, find ways to make this easier. We can make all of these into percentages instead. So just filter this down in Excel. If you don't know how to do that, just search a quick little video or tip. So I'm going to sort through this real quick, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the other side. So this is what it should look like after we've filtered everything down. We were able to change all these numbers around. I have an extra level of filtering where I have these automatic formulas set up to make these green, gray these out, make these black if they are way under what is acceptable, basically. So the first thing I do, just make it simple. I typically filter by runs created plus. So I'm going to filter it by descending, and then it's going to show me everyone in the green. So you could tell, okay, Sterlin Thompson is absolutely crushing right now, but then I want to look at how many games they've played. So they played 18 games. Okay, not a ton, obviously. Blake Dunn has played 24. You can even filter it by how many games they've played and get really kind of into it down here. So you could tell the most games anyone has played in the minor league so far is 32. So not a ton, not a huge sample size, but we're looking for players that are basically full of green. You can look at players that, okay, this person strikes out a lot. I don't want to look at them. You can also look at their age, like Christopher Morel, 24. He has some MLB experience already, actually. So he's on the Cubs. You got to be careful. Like some guys are on, rehab assignments or whatever, and they will tell you if someone's been promoted. So you can see Jonathan Clase on my Mariners has already been promoted from high A to double A. Hayden McGarry, same thing. And then you can get really into it. You can check to see if they've been demoted actually by actually looking at their profile, but just a really fun, simple way to kind of track to see how players are doing. You can scroll all the way down, obviously filter by anything you want. And say you want weighted on base average, you can check that here. So you can see Sterlin Thompson's like at the top of both of those. On base percentage, the things to look for in cars and prospecting will be ISO. I mean, that's how much power they have, but really runs created plus on here. I mean, OPS is a big one. Slugging percentage is important, but really you want someone that fills up this category. I like searching by people that don't strike out a lot and people that get on base a lot. So if someone has a really high OPS and they don't strike out, like that's what I love to see. So like Sterlin Thompson is someone that we will definitely look up. So I'm gonna go through this, highlight some names, try to pick some players, and then we'll look at their actual Fangraphs account and see if it's someone that we should be investing in. Okay, so after we have filtered everything down, select your players that you want to go ahead and search at. So for today, I'm looking at these top 8 players. Here's some of what we're looking for. So we see the runs created plus is all high for all these guys. Their weighted on base average is high. Their strikeouts aren't too crazy. Their base on balls are good. So just an example of one type of player we're looking for. Like look at Jared Serna here. Number one, he's only 21 years old. He plays for the Yankees, a big market. Those players are always going to be in demand. He's only at A level right now. Yes, he's only played 20 games, but he's had 86 plate appearances, couple home runs, 7 stolen bases. But we'll be looking at stuff like this. Like check out his strikeout percentage is less than 7%. Like that is really low, and he's walking 15% of the time. Really, really solid. But this is stuff that we'll look at in more detail here and pull up each player's profile in Fangraphs. We'll take a look at each of these guys and see if it's someone we really want to invest in. Okay, so we're looking at our first guy. It's Matt McClain here with the Reds organization, and looking at his numbers, I mean, the dude can just hit. I mean, he was drafted up here first round, pick 17th overall in the Cincinnati Reds. So on Fangraphs, it'll tell you a little bit of player profile. He's 23, he's a shortstop. He's ranked a 9th overall team prospect. He's not even ranked overall. That would be like top 100. I think Fangraphs actually goes farther than 100. ETAs next year. Future value, it grades him as a 45 right now, but dude, he is raking in AAA. So you can tell, start out in 2021, sent him to the complex league just to make sure he knew what he was doing, was only there for 2 games. They're like, okay, get out of here. Went to high A, performed immediately, 127, runs created plus, 372 weighted on base average, super solid, promoted this year, and doing the same thing. I mean, I like Jose Barrero for the Reds. I really do. Formerly Jose Garcia, have a lot of his rookie autos who isn't really performing. I mean, this is a guy that I definitely would invest in right now. I haven't really checked out his Bowman Chrome autos or anything like that. So if you find someone you want to invest in, you want to take this, go right over to eBay, check out what cards they currently have. This is someone you could definitely invest in right now. Okay, so this will be a whole separate video eventually, but if you have access to like Tear Peak, which is on eBay, or 130 Point, definitely check out the sold listings, and you could check out what things are doing. I mean, auto Bowman Chrome Sapphire PSA 10 did 175. I mean, that's not cheap, but not necessarily insane. But I mean, I would do something like this. I mean, auto, I mean, it's at a 25. Shattered glass did $5.50 on auction. I mean, that seems pretty worth it. Like a $5, $4, $3 on auction card. I mean, $2.25 on auction. I mean, that's pretty cheap. I know it's not his Bowman Chrome First, but unless you want to spend $200, $300 on a Bowman Chrome First, I would just get either a Prism or a different type of leaf, some other auto, or a non-autoed first Bowman of Matt McClain. Okay, our next player is Mark Vientos. He's currently in AAA, 23 years old. List him as a designated hitter for the New York Mets. He has a couple MLB options, so he was on the Major League team already. If we scroll down and look, so he was drafted in 2017, amateur draft, so went straight to the Mets instead of going to college. So at 17, I mean, he's put up numbers pretty much everywhere he's been except on the Mets. And looking at the Mets roster right now, it just, I don't really see a lot of room for him. I would like to see him get traded to another team, honestly. He's ranked 8th overall on his team rankings. He's not ranked. His ETA was last year with him being called up. He's in AAA right now. He's obviously crushing the ball in AAA, but I mean, hate to put people in this category, but might be one of those like 4A players that, you know, is in between kind of AAA and the major league level. Would love to see him get a shot on a new team, but I just don't think there's a ton of value right now in looking at Mark Vientos cards. A guy, Cal Manzardo. Cal Manzardo had been absolutely crushing the ball last year. I don't know how the Rays do it with all these prospects, but he's currently in AAA. He's overall ranked 43 currently, number 3 on his team in the Rays organization. And look at these numbers. I mean, was he drafted round 2, picked 27, 63rd overall? And we look at his numbers. They send him to the complex league, high A, double A, triple A. He just continues to hit everywhere he's gone. And I mean, check it out. I mean, they're saying if he would, this is a projection, this steamer, if he was on the MLB team right now, he'd hit 247 with over 120 runs created plus. That is really good. His strikeout percentage is 19%. I mean, it's gone up a little bit, but not too much, but he's walking at an even higher rate he did in double A. Now it's smaller sample size, so we'll see what happens. But also his batting average with balls in play, if we scroll over to our last kind of list here, if you look at it, he's only hitting 299 with balls in play. I mean, so if he's hitting the ball and still only getting a hit, you know, less than 300 times out of 1,000, I mean, imagine if he was hitting 365, 377, 326, 382, 467. I mean, so some of that might be luck. Some of it could be something else. I mean, if we look at his averages, 2021, 371, 343, 333, and down to 299, and he's still putting up those numbers. So to me, imagine if he was right at his average of 330, those numbers would look even better across the board. So I think Cal Manzardo is a really solid prospect. I've bought some of his Bowman Chromes already. He is on the more expensive side, but I do think you could find some cheaper options for him for when he gets called up. You can list those on eBay and make a quick profit. Definitely someone to look for. Our next prospect is Henry Davis. He's currently a catcher with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's in Double-A. He was actually round 1, pick 1, first overall. He is currently doing some really nice things. You can see he's kind of had an up and down time. I mean, well, this is only one game, so you can't really count that. Other than that, struggled a little bit for the first time in his career in AA. Looks like he's finally turned that around. Played 20 games so far. He only played a few last year. He was promoted a couple different levels. I mean, look, 2022, he went from the Complex League, A, High A, Double A, all in one season. This year, he's getting a start out in Double A, looking like he's playing really, really well. So Henry Davis is definitely someone to look for. His stuff is going to be a little expensive for sure, but someone that absolutely, if you have the money, invest in him right now. Okay, our next player is Jorbit Vivas. He's currently with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and his stuff is more expensive than I thought it was going to be. He's the 15th overall ranked prospect in the Dodgers organization. Now, they do have a lot of good prospects. He's not ranked overall. His ETA is this year, so kind of interesting. I know like the Dodgers have a loaded team though, so I'm not sure where they're gonna put him. I mean, another player that I wouldn't mind see getting traded just so he can play. But you could see signed, played rookie ball, age 17 to 18, went to low A, high A, now double A, and he's played really well everywhere he's gone. Played really, really well, never strikes out a lot, is gonna walk. I mean, really consistent. I think he's a really, really solid player. It will even tell you their height and weight on Fangraphs. So 5'10", 171 pounds. He can play second or third. I really like this, but looking over at his cards, I mean, they're not cheap. Like this is an auto at 99 for $90. Now, definitely way less expensive than like a Jackson Holiday or whoever you're looking for. But still, I mean, $195. I mean, that's not cheap. So you can find some things to pick up. Like this is a first mega box auto for $15. Like $1 shipping, that's not bad at all. So 16, $17 all in on a first auto mega box. That's not bad at all. But I would think actually as, the 15th overall prospect in his organization, his stuff will be a little cheaper. This is someone I'm really excited to look at their stats for, Sterlin Thompson, because he's absolutely crushing the ball, but his balls in play is really up. So he's currently in high A with the Rockies, third baseman outfielder, big dude, 6'4", 200, currently ranked 12th. He was a first-round pick, 31st overall in the June amateur draft by the Rockies. So they sent him to the Complex League, looks like last year. Played okay, playing 15 games, brought him to low A. Played really well. I mean, 124. Struck out 24% though. But, I mean, look at this difference in his strikeout percentage. I mean, it's not the biggest sample size, so I think you just need a bigger sample size if you're looking at Sterlin Thompson. I mean, he was a first-round pick, so we like that. We like that, we like these numbers, but he is 22 years old playing in high A, so I think you're just going to see it at a higher level. If you find anything you like for him, pick it up for sure, but I think you're going to need to see a lot more. I mean, he's 22 playing in high A, so that is a little bit older, I believe, than normal. But yeah, we're going to have to see it more. Okay, our second to last prospect, Serna with the Yankees. He's a second baseman, 20 years old. Looks like they signed him. When there's no draft or anything here, that means the prospect was signed internationally. So it looks like he played in the Dominican Summer League, at 19, played 50 games there, so that's a lot of games. 131 runs created plus. So we like to see that. 167, 142, 42 last year. Not good at all in low A. So kept him there, of course, for this year, and he's off to a much better start. Only played 12 games. Now he has 20 under his belt, so played a solid amount of games. Definitely someone you could look at picking up. We want to see it more consistently. He is 21 now, so hopefully he gets that promotion to Double A here in the next year or so. But someone to definitely look at. I mean, if we look at his slugging percentage, on base percentage, it's pretty sporadic. I mean, last year, in low A, he only played 12 games, so again, not the biggest sample size at all, but his base on ball percentage is always 17, 15, 6, and then 15. Look at the strikeout percentage. I mean, maybe he had the flu or something, because he just had a bad first promotion to single A, but definitely someone to look at. Yankee prospects are always big, and if you're trying to figure out if you should invest in him or not, you could just go over to Terapeak or 130 Point or whatever, type in the player you're looking at. So for us, it's Serna, and you could see if he even has a card. So he doesn't have any cards in Bowman. You could just type him in at all. He doesn't have any cards at all. So definitely someone to look at, as like his first card will probably be like a Panini Extra Edition card. Those cards are typically full of players that signed internationally that don't have Bowman cards yet. So that's someone to look at, but he currently doesn't have any cards, so just someone to keep an eye on for the future. Our last player we're looking at is Creed Williams. He's currently in the Baltimore Orioles organization in A level. He's 19 years old. He was an 8th round pick. Baltimore Orioles 2021. He is a catcher, 6 feet tall, and this is why we look at players' profiles. Now, he definitely could turn out to be a great player, but when we look at this, he hasn't been consistent whatsoever. In fact, he's consistently been a bad player so far. Now, only 9 games, 10 total, 68 years, so 78 games before this season. So not the hugest sample size, but still, players have been called up with less games. He currently is crushing the ball at A level, but he's striking out 22% of the time. He's averaging 28%, 27%, 22%. His walks are way up. His runs created plus are way up. His home runs are up. I mean, that's great, but just not consistent. So currently right now, with the players that we looked at, going back to our first kind of section here, Serna doesn't have any cards. Creed Williams, I think, is just too inconsistent. Kyle Manzardo is expensive right now. So I would look at these few guys. Sterlin Thompson is definitely someone I would look at, but I would look at these top 6 or so. But comment down below if you have people that you think I should invest in or you are going to be investing in that we didn't list. Thanks for tuning into the video. Let me know if there are some players I might have missed or there's any prospects you should be investing in, like a Jackson Holiday, who might be a little more expensive but is crushing the ball right now. If there's anyone else you think I might have missed, make sure to comment down below, like and subscribe. This is our first ever video. We'll have more. I'm trying to think if we should do one like once a week or something like that, or maybe once a month of some prospects on Fangraphs. You can also look at major league hitters right now that might be undervalued and investing in their Topps Chrome rookie cards or their Bowman first cards. So let me know if there's something else you guys want to see, and I can definitely try to do those types of videos. Until next time, see y'all later.